The world watches as Gaza bleeds. Once a vibrant coastal strip, it now resembles an open-air prison. Families huddle in the ruins of their homes, the air thick with the stench of devastation. Water, a basic human right, is scarce and often contaminated. Hospitals, overflowing with the injured, struggle to function with dwindling supplies. The recent escalation in violence has only deepened the humanitarian crisis, pushing Gaza to the brink of collapse. Across the West Bank, the situation is similarly dire. Palestinian communities face daily hardships under the weight of occupation. Checkpoints and roadblocks restrict movement, stifling economic activity and access to essential services. Families are forcibly evicted from their homes, their land confiscated for illegal settlements. The fabric of Palestinian life is being systematically dismantled, leaving a trail of despair and displacement in its wake. The international community cannot remain silent. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the West Bank demands immediate attention. Providing emergency aid is crucial, but it is not enough. We must address the root causes of this suffering, starting with ending the illegal occupation and blockade. The Palestinian people deserve justice, dignity, and the right to live in peace and security. For decades, Palestinians have lived under the shadow of occupation, their lives restricted by a complex system of checkpoints, permits, and military control. This occupation permeates every aspect of their existence, from their freedom of movement to their access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. The construction of illegal settlements further fragments the Palestinian territories, cutting off communities from each other and eroding the possibility of a contiguous, viable Palestinian state. The impact on Palestinian society is devastating. The economy, crippled by restrictions, struggles to survive. Unemployment is rampant, pushing families deeper into poverty. Farmers are denied access to their land, their livelihoods destroyed. Students face daily humiliations at checkpoints, their education disrupted. The occupation has created a generation of Palestinians scarred by trauma, their dreams deferred, their futures uncertain. This is not simply a political conflict, it is a human rights crisis. The systematic denial of basic freedoms and opportunities to an entire people based on their ethnicity or religion is morally reprehensible. The international community, bound by its commitment to human rights, cannot stand idly by. We must hold the occupying power accountable for its actions and demand an end to the policies that perpetuate this injustice. Nowhere is the human cost of this conflict more evident than in the eyes of Palestinian children. They are born into a world of checkpoints and curfews where the threat of violence is ever present. Many have witnessed horrors no child should ever see, their childhood stolen by conflict and displacement. The psychological toll is immeasurable, leaving invisible scars that run deep. Children in Gaza in particular bear the brunt of the blockade and recurrent military operations. Living with the constant fear of bombardment, many suffer from anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The lack of basic necessities like proper nutrition and access to clean water further jeopardizes their physical and mental well-being. Their right to a safe and healthy childhood is being violated daily. Education, a lifeline for many children in conflict zones, is often disrupted. Schools have been damaged or destroyed in military operations. Checkpoints and roadblocks make it difficult for students to reach their classrooms. This disruption to their education perpetuates a cycle of poverty and limits their future prospects. Investing in the education and well-being of Palestinian children is not just a moral imperative, it is an investment in a more peaceful and just future for all. To understand the Palestinian struggle, one must delve into the historical context, a narrative of dispossession and displacement spanning over a century. The Balfour Declaration of 1917, a document that promised a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the demographic and political landscape of the region. The creation of the State of Israel in 1948, while a momentous occasion for the Jewish people, resulted in the displacement of over 700,000 Palestinians from their homes. This mass exodus, known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic, created a Palestinian refugee crisis that continues to this day. Generations of Palestinians have grown up in refugee camps clinging to the hope of return to their ancestral lands. The 1967 war further exacerbated the situation, leading to Israel's occupation of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza. The subsequent construction of illegal settlements in these territories, in violation of international law, has further fragmented the Palestinian territories and undermined the possibility of a two-state solution. The Palestinian narrative is one of resilience in the face of adversity. Despite decades of displacement and occupation, they continue to strive for their right to self-determination, their voices echoing across generations, demanding justice and a return to their stolen homeland. Section 5. Echoes of Injustice, International Law, Violated. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not just a political dispute, it is a legal one. International law is clear: the acquisition of territory by force is illegal. Yet for over half a century, Israel has occupied the West Bank and East Jerusalem in defiance of numerous United Nations resolutions condemning the occupation and demanding its end. The construction and expansion of Israeli settlements in the occupied territories constitute a flagrant violation of international law. These settlements, deemed illegal under Article 49 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, have a devastating impact on the lives of Palestinians, leading to home demolitions, land confiscations, and restrictions on movement. The blockade of Gaza, in place since 2007, is another egregious violation of international law. This crippling siege has turned the Gaza Strip into an open-air prison, depriving its 2 million inhabitants of their basic human rights. The international community has a moral and legal obligation to uphold international law and hold Israel accountable for its violations. The pursuit of justice for Palestinians is not anti-Israel, it is pro-peace, pro-human rights, and pro-accountability. Section 6. A Global Chorus for Palestine. The Palestinian struggle for freedom and justice has resonated far beyond the borders of the Middle East, sparking a global solidarity movement that transcends geographical and cultural boundaries. From the streets of London to the campuses of American universities, people of conscience are raising their voices in support of Palestinian rights. This burgeoning movement is fueled by a deep sense of injustice and a belief in the universality of human rights. It draws inspiration from historical struggles against oppression, from the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa to the civil rights movement in the United States. It is a testament to the power of solidarity and the unwavering belief in a better world. Artists, musicians, academics, and activists from around the world are using their platforms to amplify Palestinian voices and challenge the narratives that perpetuate injustice. Boycott, divestment, and sanctions campaigns inspired by the successful movement against apartheid South Africa are gaining momentum, putting pressure on institutions and corporations complicit in the occupation. The global chorus for Palestine is growing louder, demanding an end to the occupation and a just peace for all. Section 7. The Urgency of Now, a Call to Action. We stand at a critical juncture. The situation in Palestine demands immediate action. The status quo is untenable and the consequences of inaction are too dire to contemplate. The time for empty rhetoric and symbolic gestures has long passed. We need concrete steps to address the root causes of this conflict and achieve a just and lasting peace. The international community must move beyond condemnations and resolutions. We need to hold Israel accountable for its violations of international law, including ending the illegal occupation and the blockade of Gaza. We must ensure that all parties involved in the conflict respect human rights and international humanitarian law. We must also address the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza and the West Bank. Providing emergency aid is crucial, but it is not enough. We need to support long-term development projects that empower Palestinians and create a more sustainable future. Section 8. Beyond the headlines, paths to peace. Achieving a just and lasting peace in Palestine requires moving beyond the cycle of violence and recrimination that has defined the conflict for far too long. It demands a fundamental shift in perspective, one that recognizes the humanity and legitimate aspirations of both Palestinians and Israelis. A viable peace process must be grounded in international law and based on the principle of two states for two peoples, with East Jerusalem as the capital of a sovereign and contiguous Palestinian state. This solution, endorsed by the international community, offers the best hope for a future where both Palestinians and Israelis can live in peace and security. Achieving this vision requires dialogue, compromise, and a willingness to address the historical injustices that have fueled the conflict. It necessitates dismantling the infrastructure of occupation, including the settlements and the separation barrier. It demands a just solution to the Palestinian refugee issue, based on international law and the right of return. Section 9. Towards a Just Future, Hope and Resilience. Despite the seemingly intractable nature of the conflict, we must never surrender to despair. The Palestinian people, despite facing unimaginable hardships, continue to inspire the world with their resilience, their unwavering belief in their right to self-determination, and their unwavering hope for a better future. The global solidarity movement, with its diverse tapestry of voices demanding justice for Palestine, offers a beacon of hope. It reminds us that we are not alone in this struggle, that people of conscience around the world stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. The path to peace will be long and arduous, but we must never lose sight of the ultimate goal, a just and lasting peace that recognizes the dignity and humanity of all. Let us work together, with unwavering resolve and unwavering hope, to build a future where Palestinians and Israelis can finally live together in peace, justice, and equality.